one soldier, 200 drones, no pilot, no remote controller, just a single person watching a screen while an entire fleet of attack aircraft flies itself into position. That happened. Not in a movie, not in a test lab. The People's Liberation Army broadcast that footage in January of 2026, and the Pentagon watched every second. Within weeks, the United States approved the largest single investment in autonomous warfare in the history of this country, $54.6 billion, not over a decade, in one budget year. The race for the skies is no longer about who has the best pilot. It is about who has the best machine. And right now, America is betting everything on AI drones to keep that edge. Here is exactly why. What you are about to hear is not speculation. These are real programs, real numbers, and real aircraft already flying over American test ranges. And one of them just carried a live missile for the first time. We will get to that. Section 1: Why traditional air power is no longer enough. For most of the last century, the United States Air Force ruled the skies through the sheer quality of its pilots and the raw power of its fighter jets. Aircraft like the F-22 and the F-35 are still the best in the world. Nobody debates that. But there is a problem no fighter jet can solve on its own. It comes down to one word: numbers. The United States has roughly 186 F-22s in active service. China's Air Force has grown to over 2,700 aircraft, and Beijing is building more every single year, including its own fifth-generation jets designed specifically to counter American air power. A top-tier American pilot in a top-tier aircraft can win against 1, 2, maybe 3 adversaries in a single engagement. But no pilot alive can overcome a coordinated wave of dozens of aircraft closing in all at once. And modern warfare has already shown us exactly what that looks like. The war in Ukraine changed how every military on Earth thinks about the battlefield. In 2025 alone, Ukrainian drones killed or seriously wounded more than 240,000 Russian soldiers. Not missiles, not artillery. Drones, low-cost, relentless machines flying day and night, without stopping, without sleeping, and without fear. The lesson was brutal and simple. Mass wins. If you can flood the sky with enough systems at once, you overwhelm any defense. That is the threat America is now preparing for. And the old model of one incredibly expensive jet per one incredible pilot, while still essential, is no longer enough on its own. So the United States made a decision. If mass is the new battlefield reality, America is going to build mass. But American mass is going to be smarter, faster, and more lethal than anything else in the sky. That decision has a name. It is called the Collaborative Combat Aircraft Program, and it is the most consequential defense project running in America right now. Section 2: What the CCA program actually is. The Collaborative Combat Aircraft, or CCA, is the U.S. Air Force's official program to build autonomous drone wingmen that fly alongside manned fighter jets. Think of it this way. Your best pilot gets into an F-35, but instead of going up alone, he launches with a formation of intelligent, armed, unmanned aircraft right beside him. These drones are not remote controlled. They have their own AI systems. They make real-time decisions. They can take the fight to the enemy while the human pilot commands the overall mission. The Air Force calls it affordable mass. Give the enemy more targets than they can possibly handle. Let the drones absorb the most dangerous threats. Keep the human pilots alive. 2 American companies are racing to build this aircraft right now. General Atomics, the company behind the legendary MQ-9 Reaper, built its version and named it the Dark Merlin, designated YFQ-42A. This aircraft made its very first flight on August 27, 2025. It went from contract award to first flight in just over 16 months. For the defense industry, that timeline is almost unheard of. Enduro Industries, a defense technology startup, built its version called Fury, designated YFQ-44A. It made its first flight in October of 2025. Both aircraft are now in active flight testing. Both are carrying weapons, and the Air Force will make its production decision before this fiscal year is out. Now, here is something that should stop you in your tracks. In February of 2026, the U.S. Air Force confirmed that Anduril's Fury conducted a flight test with an actual AIM-120 AMRAAM missile attached to its wing, the same class of missile carried by F-22s and F-35s to destroy enemy aircraft in combat. A drone flying itself, armed and ready. And Anduril has already announced its first live weapon shot, where it will actually fire, is happening right here in 2026. That is not a concept anymore. That is a combat system in its final stage of testing. If you believe the men and women of our armed forces deserve every possible advantage going into a fight-type strength in the comments right now. This program is what they have been asking for. If this kind of unfiltered, straight-to-the-point defense coverage is what you come here for, take 5 seconds right now and hit like and subscribe. The vast majority of people watching this have never subscribed. It is free, it takes one tap, and it keeps content like this going. We appreciate every single one of you. Section 3, the AI brain. What makes these drones different? An aircraft is just metal and fuel without the right software running it. What makes the CCA program genuinely revolutionary is not the airframe. It is the intelligence inside it. The YFQ-44A Fury is being powered by a program called HiveMind, built by Shield AI. HiveMind allows drones to operate fully autonomously even when GPS is jammed, even when communications are cut, even when the enemy is actively trying to blind the system. The drone keeps flying. It keeps deciding. It does not stop. In June of 2025, an aircraft running HiveMind went up against a manned F-16 in a real air combat exercise. The AI controlled every offensive and defensive maneuver in the air, not in a simulation, against a real jet, flown by a real pilot. Meanwhile, the Dark Merlin is running autonomy software from Collins Aerospace, and in February of 2026, General Atomics confirmed it achieves semi-autonomous flight using that system. And crucially, the U.S. Air Force announced that government-owned autonomous software has now been successfully integrated into both prototypes. This confirmed that the Air Force's core strategy building open, modular aircraft that can be updated with new AI software as technology evolves actually works in the real world. These aircraft are not locked into one brain. They can be upgraded. They can adapt. That matters enormously because what is cutting edge today may need to be better next year. Section 4, the China threat. Everything we have covered so far exists for one primary reason. China, the People's Liberation Army, has been building toward a future Pacific conflict for 2 decades. Its air force is the largest in Asia. Its drone programs are among the most advanced on Earth. And unlike the United States, China has shown no hesitation about mass producing autonomous weapons at full industrial scale. What the Pentagon is preparing for is specific. In any future conflict over Taiwan or in the South China Sea, analysts expect China to launch what they call large, heterogeneous salvos waves of missiles, drones, and crewed aircraft, all attacking at once, all coordinated by AI, all designed to overwhelm American defenses before a single U.S. pilot can react. The footage broadcast by China's National University of Defense Technology in January of 2026 showed one soldier operating 200 autonomous drones simultaneously. In a real combat scenario, that number would be in the thousands. Senior Pentagon officials have stated directly that the United States cannot currently match China's speed or scale of drone manufacturing. That is the gap this program is designed to close. And the budget committed to closing it is something none of us have seen before. Section 5, the budget numbers. In the fiscal year 2026 Pentagon budget, $13.4 billion was dedicated specifically to AI and autonomous systems. $9.4 billion of that went straight to aerial drones. But those numbers are already being overshadowed. In April of 2026, the White House released its fiscal year 2027 defense budget, $1.5 trillion total, the largest proposed defense spending plan in American history. And inside that document is one line that stopped defense analysts cold. $4.6 billion requested for a single new organization, the Defense Autonomous Warfare Group, known as DAWG. In fiscal year 2026, that same organization had a budget of $225.9 million. 1 year later, $54.6 billion. That is an increase of 24,166% in a single fiscal year. Former CIA Director David Petraeus called it directly the largest single commitment to autonomous warfare in history. The DAWG's mandate covers aerial drone swarms, unmanned surface vessels, and what officials describe as AI infrastructure that enables battle management and kill chain execution at machine speed. And the Drone Dominance program running alongside it has set a target of procuring more than 200,000 autonomous systems by 2027. Section 6. The Swarm. Here is where this gets almost impossible to comprehend without context. The Pentagon is not building individual smart drones. It is building swarms. A swarm is not 10 drones flying in formation. A swarm is hundreds, potentially thousands of drones communicating with each other in real time, assigning roles automatically, adapting when one is destroyed, and continuing the mission without a human directing each individual machine. The Pentagon's official swarm architecture calls for what officials describe as inter-agent collaboration, where the AI inside each drone coordinates its own assignments with every other drone in the formation. The design uses decentralized control, meaning if one drone goes down, the swarm reorganizes and keeps going. And the threat that makes this necessary is already here. In 2010, only 10 non-state armed groups worldwide had any drone capability. By 2025, that number had grown to 469 groups operating in 17 countries. The threat is not just China, it is everywhere. And you cannot respond to a swarm with a single pilot, no matter how skilled that pilot is. The only answer to a swarm is your own smarter, faster swarm. Section 7, the broader fleet and what comes next. The CCA program and the DAWG are the centerpiece, but the full picture is wider. The U.S. Marine Corps launched its own CCA initiative in early 2026, selecting the YFQ-42A as a test bed for developing its own autonomy capabilities. The Navy is actively working with both Anduril and General Atomics on carrier-compatible variants, with Anduril confirming at the Singapore Air Show that a Navy-specific version of Fury is already in development. And the Air Force has confirmed it plans to acquire at least 1,000 CCAs, with the number potentially reaching 2,000 to be fielded through the mid-2030s. The Air Force's long-term spending projection for the CCA program alone runs to approximately $9 billion through fiscal year 2029. Early operational capability, meaning these drones flying in actual combat formations alongside manned aircraft, is targeted for 2030. Section 8. What this means for American pilots. One question deserves a direct answer. What does this mean for the pilots who have given their careers, and in many cases far more, to fly for this country? The Air Force has been clear. These drones do not replace pilots, they protect them. The CCA is built entirely around human command. A manned pilot in an F-35 or a future F-47 directs the mission. The autonomous wingmen extend his reach, carry additional weapons, absorb the most dangerous incoming threats, and give the pilot a tactical advantage that was never possible before. The Air Force has also been explicit that during this development and testing phase, a human pilot retains final authority over any weapons released. No drone fires on its own. For the generations of Americans who wore the uniform, who know exactly what it means to be outnumbered over hostile territory, this is the technology they deserved and never had. It is finally here. Conclusion. What we are watching is one of the most significant turning points in the history of air warfare. The United States has made its choice. The future of air superiority is a combination of the world's best trained human pilots flying alongside the most advanced autonomous systems ever built. $54.6 billion committed, 200,000 autonomous systems targeted for 2027, live weapons tests happening this year. The first production class AI fighter drones decision coming before the year is out. The aircraft are already in the air. The future is already being tested. If this gave you something real, hit like and subscribe right now. One tap. It is how this channel stays alive and keeps bringing you the defense news that actually matters.